In 1898, a struggling author named Morgan Robertson wrote this book. It was fiction. It looked into the future and told the story of a fabulous Atlantic liner far larger than any that had ever been built. Its displacement was 70,000 tons. Its top speed, 25 knots. Its length, 800 feet. On a day in April, she departed on a voyage across the North Atlantic. Her capacity was 3,000 people. But since she was considered unsinkable, she carried lifeboats for only a fraction of that number. 4 days later, on a cold April night, she raced across the North Atlantic, heedless of iceberg warnings, struck an iceberg, and went down, carrying the rich and complacent aboard her to the bottom. It symbolized the end of an age of luxury, class inequality, of supreme self-confidence of man against fate. The name Robertson gave his ship was the Titan. The name of his book, Futility. In 1912, 14 years after this book was published, a British shipping company, the White Star Line, built a fabulous Atlantic liner far larger than any that had ever been built.
Cast off spring line! Cast off the spring line!
Her displacement was 66,000 tons. Her length, 882 feet. Her top speed, 25 knots.
Water! Water speed astern! Water speed astern,
On April the 10th, 1912, she departed Southampton on her maiden voyage to New York. Her capacity was 3,000 people, but since she was considered unsinkable, she carried lifeboats for only a fraction of that number. The name the White Star Line gave to its ship, the Titanic. Four days later, on a cold April night, she raced across the North Atlantic, carrying passengers worth collectively $250 million. This is the story of her last night, as remembered by those who survived. What you will see all actually took place. It is as accurate as man can reconstruct that night. This is not fiction. This is fact.
Johnson!
Although meals were included in the price of passage, here in the Titanic a la carte restaurant, it was possible to be even more exclusive by paying handsome prices for them.
Yes, sir? The wide nose will begin in a moment. Have arrangements been made?
Yes, at the corner table.
Good. The captain will be dining with their party.
I'll look after them myself, sir.
Mr. Strauss, Mrs. Strauss, good evening. How are you this evening? Enchanté.
Working in his stateroom at 6:45 that night was Thomas Andrews, builder of the Titanic. At 39 years old, the senior naval architect of Harland and Wolff shipbuilders, a shipbuilding genius.
Come.
Excuse me, sir, but it's nearly 7 o'clock and you'll be late for the White Nose dinner party.
Alfred, I designed the first-class writing room as a place for ladies to retire to after dinner. It hardly ever seems to be occupied.
Well, if I may be allowed an observation, sir, the ladies of the 20th century are not as retiring as they formerly were.
I believe you're right. At any rate, I'm going to make it smaller. Thank you, Alfred. And put in 2 more staterooms.
Although this was a working trip for Thomas Andrews, his official capacity on board was that of a passenger, as was that of Mr. J. Bruce Ismay, President and Managing Director of the White Star Lines.
Well, of course, we haven't begun to see yet what she can do, but I have asked for a speed run for tomorrow morning, and we'll see what happens when we give her a head.
Well, do you think we'll break the record to New York, Mr. Ismay?
Dear, no, we're not out to set a speed record with the Titanic. We should get up to 25 knots without too much trouble.
Mr. Ismay.
Oh, excuse me, gentlemen.
I was wondering if you might have that message I gave you this morning.
Message?
Yes, the wireless message, the iceberg warning from the Baltic.
Yes, of course. I was showing it to Mrs. Thayer and Mrs. Ryerson this afternoon. They're very impressed.
Oh, thank you.
We're going into dinner.
No, I'm being entertained by the Wideners this evening. I'm sorry.
Well, I'll see you later, then.
Captain Edward J. Smith, 59 years old, senior captain of the White Star Line. The man who had said,
I cannot conceive of any vital disaster happening to a vessel of today. Modern shipbuilding has gone beyond that.
the wireless warning Captain Smith had asked Mr. Ismay to return at 7:10 in the smoking room was the third warning the captain had received that day. The Titanic Salon Orchestra under the baton of Wallace Henry Hartley. The selection, the Barcarolle, from the Tales of Hoffman.
After all, Mr. Andrews built this ship. Now he seems to spend his time prowling around trying to find fault with
Oh,
it.
my dear, that's very alarming. What faults have you discovered in it, Mr. Andrews?
If you're interested.
But of course I'm interested.
Then, we're having trouble with the restaurant galley hop press. The color of the pebble dashing on the private promenade decks is too dark. And there are too many screws in the stateroom hat hooks.
I want my money back.
At 7:30, iceberg warning number 4 was received. It indicated an area directly in the path of the Titanic.
Well, you should have seen Tom Andrews at the trials. The sort of detail on this ship that he is familiar with. He's terribly conscientious.
Four decks below, in the Titanic steerage, were 712 souls, 179 women, 467 men, and 78 children. At 9 that night, a young Irish couple were performing a jig. Enjoying their performance, Klaus and Hilda Clausen and their daughter Gertrude.
Come on here, the left side. Go here, come on, left side. Here. Which one is it? What's over there? I don't mind as long as he stays on board the ship. If he gets off, then I'll worry. Come on here, the left side. Come on.
The wireless room of the Titanic. First operator, John George Phillips, on duty. He was coming to the end of his 14-hour day, doing his job, for which his pay was $30 a month, or approximately 7 cents an hour. The time, 9:30 p.m.
What you getting?
Another ice warning.
Ah. The Masaba reports ice, latitude 42 degrees north, Where's that?
I don't know. I'm no navigator.
Yeah, do you think it could be this...
Oh, look, leave me alone, will you? I'm trying to get Cape Race.
What's Cape Race?
A relay station in Newfoundland. The passengers have got me loaded with messages to send to the States. They must think this is a toy. Listen. Lovely trip. Found my beads. Guess who I ran into at the Vatican? Dying to see you. Love, Lily. There's stacks of... Wait a minute, that's Cape Race now.
The 5th iceberg warning. Had operator Phillips been a navigator, he would have known that the Titanic was already well within the latitudes and longitudes described in the message.
What's the temperature, Moody?
33 degrees, sir.
Oh, better send word to the carpenter to see that the fresh water supply doesn't freeze.
Yes, sir.
And warn the engine room to keep an eye on the steam winches.
Right, sir.
The warning to protect the steam winches from freezing was sent by Second Officer Charles Herbert Lightoller at 10 p.m.
Good evening, Mr. Lightoller.
Good evening, sir.
Getting colder.
Yes, sir, 1 degree above freezing.
Not much wind.
No, sir, flat calm. Pity the breeze didn't keep up while we're going through this area. Ice is easier to see at night if there are waves dashing against it.
Oh, well, we should have warning enough on a night as clear as this.
I should think so, sir.
Well, if anything unusual develops, I'll be in my cabin.
Right, sir. Good night, sir.
Good night.
"30 miles away, aboard the Leyland liner Californian, bound from London to Boston. The time, 10:30. Third Officer Charles Victor Groves on duty."
Stop engines!
Trouble, Mr. Groves? An ice field, Captain. We're blocked completely. Oh, yes, can't proceed through that. Too dangerous.
That's what I thought, sir.
Stop all engines. We'll stay away out on morning. Send out a warning to all ships in the area.
Aye, aye, sir.
I shall be in the chart room. Send out that warning immediately.
Aye, aye, sir.
The wireless shack of the Californian. Operator Cyril F. Evans on duty. Time, 11 p.m.
Sparks, send this ice warning to all ships within range. We are stopped tonight. It's too dangerous to proceed.
Right.
Aboard the Titanic, wireless operator Phillips got the Californian signal all right. They were so close it almost blew his ears off. He didn't wait for the message, but snapped right back. His reply, shut up, I'm busy, I'm working Cape Race."
Good night, Mr. Ismaister.
Good night, Estes.
Good night, Mom.
Aboard the Titanic, the passengers had settled down for the night. All but a few diehards.
Thank you, sir. Good night, sir.
Good night, you. Good night, gentlemen.
Here in the first-class smoking room, the White Star Line's usual rule against Sunday card playing had been relaxed, and a small group took advantage of the privilege. Time all good people were in bed, really.
Good night, Mother. Good night, dear.
Everywhere, quiet had settled down over the ship. Five decks below, even the stokers were taking their ease. It was 11:35, almost the end of their shift.
Would anybody take a bet that we make 25 knots tomorrow? I'd take a little bet on that. You know what we made today? 22 knots. It's not bad.
Seaman Frederick Fleet and Reginald Lee were on watch in the crow's nest. Time, 11:40. Air temperature, 32 degrees. Water temperature, 31.
Like glass, isn't it? You know, if there were a moon, one could see for miles. Good God! Look at that! What is it?
Bridge, what did you see?
Iceberg! Right ahead, sir!
Pilot starboard!
Stop engine! How long does it take to turn this ship?
landing.
It sounded to me as if something went wrong in the kitchen.
I don't know. Hilda, you've hit something. Get the child quickly, come on.
Depending upon their location in the ship, the initial jar was felt in varying degrees. Shipbuilder Andrews concentrated on his work, did not feel it at all.
What was that? An iceberg, sir. I hard starboarded and reversed the engines, and I was going to hard a port around it, but she was too close. I couldn't do any more, sir.
Close the emergency doors.
They're already closed, sir.
Take a look below, quickly.
Aye.
Report back, quickly.
Aye.
Thanks, we've got aground, that's what.
I tell you, we lost a propeller blade, that's what it was. I know the sort of shudder a ship gives.
Well, you know what that means, lad. Back to Belfast for repairs. It's Belfast for at least a week.
It went thus throughout the ship. Rumors, counter-rumors. But above the depths of the ship, in first and second class, where the jar was barely felt, there was little excitement, little or no commotion. Mrs. John B. Thayer of Philadelphia was reassured.
Well, I'm sure I couldn't tell you, madam, but I'm sure it isn't much. Good night.
And at 11:45, life aboard the great liner returned to its usual pace. Nothing seemed amiss. Everything seemed perfectly normal, yet not quite.
I tell you, it was a propeller blade. It happened once on the old boat, right?
Steward,
Oh, yes, Mrs. Rouse.
why have the engine stopped?
There is talk of an iceberg, ma'am. They have stopped not to run over it.
An iceberg?
That's right, miss.
Oh, I've never seen an iceberg.
Neither have I. Let's run up and see it.
A few of the more hardy among the passengers got together on the deck. Among them, Colonel Archibald Gracie and his old friend, Clint Smith.
What's up? Why have we stopped?
Would you like a souvenir to take back to New York with you, Archie?
A souvenir of what?
Ice.
Where did you get ice?
Up forward. There are tons of it in the starboard well deck. Brushed off the iceberg and we went past it. Come on, I'll show you. Some of the steerage people are playing with it. It's quite a lark.
She's making water fast, sir.
Where?
Number 6 boiler room. Number 5, too.
What happened? What did we hit?
Any of the others damaged?
I don't know, sir. That's as far as I got. The emergency door's
Captain, what is going on?
I regret to state, Mr. Ismay, we have struck an iceberg.
Is the ship seriously damaged, do you think?
I'm afraid she is. I've sent for Mr. Andrews.
She can't sink, can she, with her watertight compartments, Mr. Andrews?
What's happened?
We struck ice, Tom. She's taking water past the number 5, number 6 boiler rooms.
We're going to have a look at it.
Shut the door, please. Shut the door, please.
Second Officer Lightoller returned to his cabin from inspecting the deck. He knew something was wrong, but he was off duty, and he should be where they would expect to find him in case of emergency. He waited, like the good officer he was.
What was that we
It's the captain. I don't know the other.
What are they doing down here?
I don't know.
I tell you there's something else. I tell you what's up. It's up to me ankles in water. Here, come and take a look at my cabin. Water? Where?
With the fires nearly out of number 6 boiler room, the men started back to the next boiler room, where pumps were so far staying ahead of the water. At 11:55, back from their inspection, shipbuilder Andrews outlined the situation to Captain Smith and President Ismay in the chart room.
And there are 16 separate watertight compartments with watertight bulkheads between each. Now she is taking water in the first 6 compartments, the forepeak, number 1 hold, number 2 hold, the mail room, boiler room number 6, and boiler room number 5. That makes 6 compartments gone. It means she's suffered a gash of nearly 300 feet.
Well, never mind the mathematics, man. What are her chances?
It comes down to mathematics, Mr. Ismay. The Titanic can float with any 2 of her 16 watertight compartments flooded. She could float with even 3 of her first 5 compartments flooded. She might even float with all of her first 4 gone. But with her first 6 all gone, she cannot stay afloat.
The compartments are watertight.
They're not sealed on top. The bulkheads go only as high as E-deck. If the first 5 are flooded, the bow will sink so low that the water in the 6th compartment will overflow into the 7th compartment. And when that is full, it will overflow into the 8th and so on back.
There's nothing that we can do?
I'm afraid not, sir. The ship must go down.
How long do you give her, Tom?
The water was about 14 feet above the keel in the first 10 minutes. It's now nearly midnight. It's been 20 minutes since we hit the ice. Let's say 2 hours. Certainly very little more than that.
The bridge of RMS Titanic. The time, 12 midnight, April 14, 1912. A night to remember.
Mr. Wilde, you will have the lifeboats uncovered immediately and swung out.
Yes, sir.
Mr. Murdoch?
Yes, sir.
Have the passengers mustered on the top deck as quickly and as quietly as possible. There will be no general alarm rung, nothing to cause panic.
Aye, aye, sir.
Break out the list of boat assignments for the crew. Wake up Mr. Lightoller and Mr. Pitman.
Aye, sir.
British shipping laws required all vessels over 10,000 tons gross to carry 16 lifeboats. President Ismay's line, the White Star Line, met the requirements. The Titanic, 46,328 gross tons, carried 16 lifeboats, which, along with 4 collapsibles, was enough to accommodate a little over 1,000 of its total capacity of 3,000 people. The law had been fulfilled.
Mr. Phillips?
Yes, sir.
We struck an iceberg. Send out the call for assistance.
The regulation distress call, sir?
Yes, at once. There's our position.
In the wireless room of the liner Californian, standing where she had stopped 10 miles away, Operator Evans, off duty since 11:30, was joined at 12:08 by Officer Groves. Groves was an amateur Marconi addict.
Any news? Don't ask me. I'm closed for the night.
Pretty soft life, if you ask me.
Well, you try working 16 hours without relief.
Mind if I fool around?
Oh, suit yourself.
Any boats around?
Only the Titanic.
Oh, really? Where's the receive switch?
Bottom on the left. nothing.
Well, no wonder you have to wind the detector.
The what?
The detector. It's magnetic, runs by clockwork. You have to wind it up if you want to hear anything.
Oh, well, I'm tired. I think I'll turn in. Come on.
Struck an iceberg.
I knew we must have struck something.
The water's up to F deck.
There was no general alarm, captain's orders, but quickly and quietly word passed among the passengers. Mr. and Mrs. Lucian Smith of Philadelphia.
What's the matter, darling?
It's all right, dear. We're in the north, and we've struck an iceberg. Now, it doesn't amount to anything, but it'll probably delay us a day getting into New York.
Oh, you frightened me.
However, as a matter of form, the captain has ordered all ladies on deck.
Oh, no.
Steward Edges and mining king Benjamin Guggenheim.
How's that, sir?
Doesn't fit. It hurts.
Oh, well, we let it out a bit, sir.
Where's that ballad of mine? He's never around when I need him.
There now, sir, is that better?
No, I feel ridiculous.
Oh, you needn't, sir. They'll all be wearing them. Yeah.
Now, look here, I don't need
Yes,
that.
it'll be very chilly, sir. I'd much better if you wear it.
What are
Come
you
this way,
talking
sir.
about?
It'll be perfectly all right.
In the third-class hallway on E-deck, there was less formality and even more difficulty.
Order! There is no danger. But the captain asked you all to put on life belts. But oh, never mind what they are. Just put them on. Here.
Others, like Colonel Gracie and his friend Clint Smith, receiving no official word, put two and two together.
Yes? Stand up straight.
I am standing up. You're right. She's beginning to list.
Lynch, if worse comes to worse, let's stick together. We might be able to be of some help here and there, if it is serious.
All right, Archie.
We better get into something warm. I'll meet you here in 5 minutes.
5 minutes.
At 12:15, Officer Wilde removed the covers from the lifeboats and Officer Lightoller started the loading.
The captain has asked for the women and children to board the boats, please. Come along, please. Please come along. Will you please hurry? We haven't much time to get all the boats loaded. Now come along, man. Come along. Step along, Mrs. Anderson.
Certainly not. This is ridiculous. We're much safer here than in that little boat. Come along inside.
You, madam, come along.
You mustn't get into
Colonel Astor expressed what they all felt. The loading at 12:15 was slow. At 12:20, wireless operator Phillips received the first answers to his distress call. The North German Lloyd steamer, Frankfurt, 150 miles away. The Canadian Pacific's Mount Temple, 50 miles away. But on the other side of the ice field. The news spread in ever-widening circles. Cape Race heard it and relayed it inland. On the roof of Wanamaker's department store in New York City, a young wireless operator, David Sarnoff, caught a faint signal and passed it on. The time, 12:24. An Associated Press dispatch crossed the news desk of the New York Times. The Titanic was sinking.
My God, I don't believe it.
While the whole world was snapping to agonized attention, Henry's sleeper Harper, aboard the Titanic, remained unconvinced.
Of course it's nonsense asking us to bob about in a boat out there in the dark when we can stay in here. Besides, it's freezing out there.
You're perfectly right, my dear.
And Mrs. Astor wasn't frightened, only curious.
There you are, you see. It's cork inside.
Why, how clever.
No, I'm sure you'll be all back in your bed shortly.
The last time I saw you, I told you to put on your life belt.
Yes, but I thought
Put
it
it
rather...
on. Walk about. Let the passengers see you in it.
Isn't that rather mean?
If you value your life, put it on.
Not this afternoon. We better spend just one day in New York.
I'll change the reservations. We can take the train to Florida on the 18th.
Is this coat all right?
Pretty cold on deck.
Well, maybe I better take them both. Oh,
What is it?
my jewelry.
My dear, it might be wiser not to bother with trifles.
Well, I'll just take these two.
Come along now, dear.
You have to unlock it. We're trying to turn it the other way. Step back in there. That's it.
What's your name? Destroying company property. I'll report you. And I'll have the whole bunch of you arrested when we reach New York.
Another lady, please. Anybody, please.
At 12:42 p.m., over 1 hour after striking the iceberg, it took more bravery or more foresight to leave the Titanic than to stay aboard. And Officer Murdoch felt he could wait no longer.
Lower away!
And the first boat, number 7, was lowered. Its capacity, 40. Its passengers, 20. Time, 12:45. At the very stern end of the Titanic, Quartermaster George Thomas Rowe, pacing his watch, reported an unusual sight.
Sir, there's a boat afloat out here. Well, sir, I just saw it. Quartermaster Rowe, sir, stern watch. What, sir?
And 1 hour and 10 minutes after the Titanic hit, Quartermaster Rowe became the last man to learn what was going on.
Yes, sir, right away, sir.
Captain, there's a ship out there, sir, not more than 10 miles away. We've been trying to reach her by Morse land.
Any reply?
I thought there was for a while, sir, but it seems to be just her masthead flickering.
Rowe,
Yes, sir?
did you bring up the rockets?
Yes, sir.
Or fire one. And then fire one every 5 or 6 minutes.
Yes, sir.
She'll respond to those all right.
Yes, sir.
On the bridge of the Californian, Second Officer Herbert Stone watched and counted. By 12:55, he had counted 5 rockets.
I thought she was trying to signal us a while back, sir. But I think it was just her masthead flickering.
Strange to be buying rockets at night. Have a look at her now. She looks very queer out of the water. The lights look queer.
She seems to be listing. Looks like she's got a big side out of water.
Yes, what is it? Sir, there's a ship on the port bow. I know that. What about it? She's been firing rockets. I've counted 5 of them altogether. And are they company rockets? I don't know, sir. But they appear to me to be white rockets. Well, use the Morse lamp. We did, sir. Well, use it again.
And at 1 a.m., Captain Stanley Lord of the SS Californian finally got to sleep. The time, 1 a.m., April 15, 1912, a night to remember. The Titanic Salon Orchestra under the baton of Wallace Henry Hartley. The selection, Hello, My Baby.
Any response from that ship?
Afraid not, sir. I thought for a moment she was signaling back, but it seems to be just under the masthead.
Fire another.
The sight of the Titanic's distress signals may have made little impression on the SS Californian, but aboard the Titanic, they had their effect.
Please hurry. Will you hurry along? There's not a moment to lose. Will you please hurry along?
Into the boat. Come quickly.
Hold on there.
Another one down here. Here, come on.
And the team of Gracie and Smith was already functioning smoothly.
Let's go, Prince.
That's another one up, will you?
Quickly, dear.
No,
Dearest. I never expected to ask you to obey, but this one time you must. Now, it's only a matter of form to have the women and children go first. The ship is thoroughly equipped. Everyone on her will be saved.
Are you telling me the truth?
Yes. Now, quickly, dear, into a boat.
Right down here again, okay. Women and children only. Lower away!
Ready she goes. Keep your hands in your pockets. It's very cold weather.
Women and children only was the rule of the night on the port side of the ship where Officer Lightoller was in charge. But on the starboard side, Officer Murdoch was more lenient.
Come on, let's fill him up.
There we are. Take it easy. No need to worry. They pulled back at him. There we are. Just have your husband and stay
Entering lifeboat number 3, Henry Sleeper Harper. His Egyptian dragoman, Hamad Assar,
right in, please. Come on. Here we go.
Come on, let's
and his prize Pekingese, Sun
See
Yat-sen.
if they get
Somebody will be down to escort the women and children on deck in a short time. Please be patient.
A small group of women and children had been sent up from steerage at 12:30. That had been half an hour before. Now, at 1:05, steerage waited patiently, for the most part.
All right, which way? Tell you this way.
Here, you can't go through here.
So what's to stop us?
Scott, it's the rules for first-class passengers to go up on the first, second floor.
Jam the bloody rules. Open the gate. Wait! Lay your hands on me, will you? I'll bust your bloody head.
At 12:36, in the wireless room of the Titanic, Operator Phillips received his first encouragement.
She's 58 miles away, sir. And she says she's coming hard.
58 miles. They'll be too late.
Please, now, there's not a moment to lose. We must get the women and children off first. Will you hurry along there, please? Will you lower away? Lower away there. Hurry, will you?
If you'll get the hell out of the way, I'll be able to do something. You want me to lower away quickly? You'll have me drown the whole lot of them.
There had been no need for a lifeboat drill aboard an unsinkable ship, no procedure for abandoning ship. With no fixed policy to guide them, each behaved as the moment and their characters dictated.
Where is your lifebelt, sir? I gave it away. But, sir...
My valet and I have dressed in our best and we're prepared to go down like gentlemen.
Yes. Maybe get in now. Yes, go ahead.
As the moment dictated, Sir Cosmo and Lady Duff Gordon.
Get ready to lower away, Seaman Murdoch.
The Duff Gordon's boat, number 1, was lowered at 1:10. Capacity 40. Number of passengers 12. As their characters dictated,
No, I think they...
I have always stayed with my
why should I leave him now?
I beg you, my dear.
Isidore, we have been living together many years. Where you go, I go.
But all the other ladies are getting in.
Where he goes, I go.
Well, sir, I'm sure no one's going to object to an old gentleman like you getting in, sir. Come on.
I will not go before the other men.
This was the decision of Mr. and Mrs. Isidore Strauss of New York City. Time 1:15, number 10 lowered, carrying 53 passengers.
Lower away!
1:20, number 9 lowered, carrying 55.
Lower away!
1:25, number 11 lowered, carrying 70. There was no longer difficulty filling the boats. The passengers knew. And at 1:30, Officer Lowe used his gun.
Try not to bring this on you.
Let's go down. All right. Hey, let's see. All right, take him down the boat. That's the way. All right, come on down there. Now hurry up.
On the starboard side of the moment, there were no candidates at hand. And at 1:46, President Bruce Ismay made his most important decision as president of the White Star Line.
Is there no one else to go? There's room for one more. Is there no one else? Lower away. Lower away.
At the time President Ismay left his ship, there remained on board 1,643 passengers. Among them, 168 women and 57 children. Were allowed to find their way forward and up to the boat deck by themselves. At 1:56, at lifeboat number 4, the Astors had become aware of the situation.
May I accompany my wife? She's in a delicate condition.
A lot of these boats are women and children.
What is the number of this lifeboat?
Number 4.
Thanks. Come on, let's go. Get lively down there. Come on. Look out down there. Get her to the boat.
This boy goes with his mother. He's only 13.
Step back there, will you please? That's the way. Come on, take
Go
more,
boy!
All right, just 2 more down there. One more, come on.
Hey, this way! That's the way up! Come on!
The time, 2 a.m. The last lifeboat on the Titanic. Officer Lightoller took a precaution. Mrs. John Murray Brown and Miss Edith Evans reached the boat with the help of Gracie and Smith.
Hey, what, dear?
Only room for one more!
Quickly, you have children at home.
Step there, dear. Come along now.
Pull up! Lower away!
Put your hands down there.
Lower away!
Last boat off the Titanic, 2:05, and 1,554 remained on board.
Here we go. Get in.
Everything will be all right now.
Here, the book. Where are you?
Still on board, Operator Phillips, Operator Bride, Captain Smith.
Spark is weak.
And you have done your full duty. You can do no more. Abandon your cabin. It's every man for himself now.
There's still a little power left, sir.
So, You look out for yourselves. I release you. That's the way of it at this kind of time.
Still on board, the Titanic Salon Orchestra. The time, 2:15. The selection, the Episcopal hymn, Autumn. The orchestra's final performance under the baton of Wallace Henry Hartley. Still on board, Colonel Gracie and his friend Clint Smith.
We didn't do so badly.
Not bad at all, Archie.
Good luck, Clinch.
Good luck, Archie.
But of the two, Colonel Gracie proved the better swimmer. Still on board, young Jack Fair and his friend Milton Long.
Well, you coming, boy? Go ahead. I'll be right with you.
Of these two techniques for abandoning ship, young Jack Fair's was the one that worked. Still on board, Thomas Andrews, shipbuilder.
Mr. Andrews!
Time, 2:20. The freezing waters of the North Atlantic closed over the grave of the Titanic. She carried with her 1,502 souls, 1,346 men, 102 women, and 54 children, all but one of whom was steerage children. If the Titanic had heeded any of the 6 iceberg warnings, if the night had been rough or moonlit, if she had hit the iceberg 15 seconds sooner or 15 seconds later, if her watertight bulkheads had been 1 deck higher, if she had carried enough lifeboats, if the Californian had only heeded and come. Had any of these ifs turned out right, every life might have been saved, but they all went against her. And never again has man been quite so confident. An age had come to an end.
A Night to Remember by Walter Lord, published by Henry Holt and Company. Our cast in order of appearance: